The kings who ruled England didn't just command armies and sign treaties. They used their dinner tables to display absolute dominion over the natural world. What they consumed wasn't merely food, it was political theater designed to shock, awe, and intimidate. To understand their grasp on power, one must look at the bizarre, grotesque, and wildly expensive delicacies that graced the royal high board. Here is the countdown of the top 10 strangest things ever consumed by English royalty, where every bite was a living map of empire. 10. William the Conqueror's spice spectacle. William's table groaned under spices so rare that a pinch of pepper could eclipse a peasant's yearly wage. Imported ginger, pepper, and cinnamon-dusted roasted meats, transforming the royal feast into a spectacle of conquest. The scent alone, sharp, alien, and almost medicinal, marked the air as Norman, not Saxon. This was a deliberate display of global command. Every mouthful of spiced meat was a message. The king's body, seasoned with the spoils of conquest, stood above the land and its people. 9. Henry I's fatal surfeit of lampreys. This final meal has echoed through centuries as the very definition of royal excess gone awry. Lampreys, those slippery, jawless parasitic fish prized for their blood-rich flesh, were said to have ended the king's life in 1135. Henry demanded the dish be served extravagantly, lampreys stewed in their own blood, thickened with wine, vinegar, and a fistful of precious spices. To gorge on them was to remind the court that the king's desires outranked both medical warnings and mortal limits. 8. King Stephen's battlefield wild boar. Set against the backdrop of civil war, Stephen's camp transformed into a mobile court of carnivorous bravado. Whole boars, skins scorched and tusks gleaming, were roasted until the air reeked of fat. Only the king by law could command this hunt. The tusks, plated in gold, were hung as trophies. Each bite was a reminder that Stephen's authority was both animal and divine. 7. Henry II's fire-breathing redressed peacock. This was no simple roast. Cooks skinned the bird with surgical care, preserving every iridescent feather. The finished dish sat upright, wings unfurled, beak agape. Some recipes even instructed chefs to make the peacock breathe fire using burning spirits. Its value lay in the spectacle, the silent message that the king's power was as unnatural and awe-inspiring as this resurrected bird. 6. King John's maritime monster. In 6th place, King John's court frequently feasted on a creature modern diners would flee from, the porpoise. Classified as royal fish, the meat was dark and pungent. Chefs masked the taste with almond milk, sugar, and heavy imported spices. Eating a porpoise proved that the king's ownership extended far beyond the shoreline and into the depths of the ocean. 5. Richard II's monstrous cockatrice. 5th place introduces a creature that did not exist in nature, entirely manufactured by the royal chefs of Richard II. Cooks would take the front half of a capon and surgically sew it to the rear half of a suckling pig. The hybrid was then stuffed, roasted on a massive spit, and gilded with gold leaf or painted with bright saffron glazes. Serving a cockatrice was a literal demonstration of divine right, a message that the king possessed the authority to rewrite the laws of nature. 4. Henry V's Lenten fast-breaking puffin. Number 4 brings a different kind of culinary dominance during the solemn fasting periods under Henry V. When church law forbade meat, the royal kitchens turned to the puffin. Medieval theologians classified them as aquatic creatures rather than birds. This legal loophole allowed the court to enjoy rich flesh while technically adhering to holy restrictions. The puffins were captured, salted, and sent to the king. 3. Henry VIII's status symbol crane. In 3rd place, the legendary feasts of Henry VIII introduced a bird of unparalleled rarity, the crane. Towering and elegant, cranes were exceptionally difficult to hunt, requiring highly trained gerfalcons and immense patience. The bird was roasted whole, its long neck carefully propped up with iron wires to make it look alive, and served with a sharp galantine sauce. The king's reach could bring down even the highest flying creature in the sky. To carve it required specific, highly formalized courtly etiquette. 2. James I's cannibalistic medicine. The runner-up spot reveals a darker side of royal consumption. When James I suffered from gout, a shocking remedy was prescribed. The king was administered a medicinal powder composed of scrapings from an unburied human skull, mixed with aromatic herbs, white wine, and whey. Corpse medicine was an accepted practice among elites, who believed the vital spirit of the deceased could fortify the living monarch. 1. Charles II's ultimate imperial treat. Finally, taking the #1 spot is Charles II, who celebrated global trade with a fruit treated like a monarch, the pineapple. In the late 17th century, bringing a tropical pineapple intact from the Caribbean to London was a near-impossible logistical feat. The king didn't just eat it. He commissioned an official oil painting to commemorate the moment he was handed the fruit. At banquets, the single pineapple was placed at the center of the high table as a crown jewel, left uneaten for days. It was the ultimate statement of imperial reach, proving the king could command distant worlds to grow tropical treasures in the cold English rain. Across every era, the royal menu remained a map of absolute sovereignty. These dishes were never just about filling a monarch's stomach. They were living proof that to rule the realm, a king must command the wild, the rare, and the unthinkable, turning eating into undisputed majesty.